My beloved child, before you scroll away, listen carefully to me for just a moment longer. There is a reason your eyes landed on this message tonight. Not by accident, not by coincidence, not because the algorithm randomly placed these words before you. You were guided here, and deep inside your spirit, you already feel it. Something within you became still the moment you heard these words. Something inside you whispered quietly, "This message is for me." My child, there are moments in life that appear ordinary on the surface, yet heaven marks them as turning points. Moments where the unseen world quietly moves around you, while you remain unaware that your story is beginning to change. This is one of those moments. Do not dismiss it too quickly, because what is happening tonight has been unfolding far longer than you realize. Before this day ever arrived, before your exhaustion, before the tears you hid from everyone around you, before the nights you lay awake wondering if things would ever truly get better, I already knew this moment would come, and I brought you here for a reason. As it is written, "This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." Psalm 118:24. My beloved, you thought this was just another ordinary day, another video, another passing moment in a long cycle of disappointment, stress, confusion, and silent battles no one fully understands. But heaven does not see your life the way you do, where you see random moments. I see divine timing. Where you see delay, I see preparation. Where you see pain, I see the beginning of transformation. And tonight, something is shifting. I know you have been tired. Not only physically tired, but soul tired. Tired of pretending you are okay when your heart quietly carries burdens too heavy to explain. Tired of smiling for people while fighting battles internally that no one else can see. Tired of hoping only to feel disappointed again. Yes, my child, I saw every moment. I saw the nights you stared into darkness, wondering if your prayers were even being heard. I saw the fear you hid behind silence. I saw the moments you almost gave up completely, and still, I never left you. Even when you believed I was distant, I remained beside you. Even when your faith became weak, my love for you never weakened. Even when you stopped speaking to me for a while, I continued watching over you quietly. You were never abandoned, not for a single moment. There were dangers you never saw that I protected you from. There were doors you cried over that I closed to save you from deeper pain later. There were people who walked away because they could not go where I am taking you next. But you do not fully understand that yet. Soon, you will. My beloved child, the reason this season has felt so heavy is because something within you has been changing beneath the surface. What felt like breaking was often preparation. What felt like silence was often protection. What felt like delay was often my hand keeping you from stepping into something before the right time arrived. Because if I had released certain blessings too early, they would have destroyed you instead of healing you. And tonight, I need you to hear this clearly. Your story is not ending. It is beginning again. The tears you cried were not wasted. The waiting was not meaningless. The loneliness was not proof that you were forgotten. No, my child, you were being prepared for a moment that would awaken something greater inside you. That awakening has already begun. You may not fully recognize it yet, but your spirit feels it. That strange pull inside your chest. That deep emotional stirring. That feeling you cannot explain while listening to these words. That is not random. That is the moment your soul begins remembering that you are not alone. You have spent too long listening to fear, too long listening to voices that told you you were behind, unwanted, unworthy, forgotten, too damaged to recover. But those voices were never mine. I have never spoken death over your future. I have never called you worthless. I have never looked at your brokenness and decided to leave you there. My child, I see who you are becoming long before you see it yourself. And that is why the enemy fought you so hard. That is why confusion surrounded your mind. That is why discouragement tried to consume your hope. Because darkness often attacks what heaven has already chosen. But listen carefully now. The fact that you survived every battle that tried to destroy you is proof that my hand has remained upon your life this entire time. You are still here for a reason, still breathing for a reason, still searching for answers for a reason. And tonight, heaven is calling you back into hope again. Not fake hope, not temporary emotion, but deep spiritual reassurance that your life still carries purpose even after everything you have endured. My beloved, do not run from this message. Stay with me, because the next thing I reveal will explain why your life suddenly began changing in ways you could not understand, and why certain battles became more intense right before this moment arrived. My beloved child, there is something I need you to understand tonight. The pain you carried in silence was never invisible to me. Not one tear, not one sleepless night, not one moment where your heart quietly broke while everyone around you assumed you were fine. I saw it all. As it is written, I have indeed seen the misery of my people. Exodus 3:7. My child, you became skilled at hiding your pain. You learned how to smile while your spirit felt exhausted. You answered people with, "I'm okay," while internally carrying fears you could barely explain yourself. But I heard the conversations you never spoke aloud. I heard the cries hidden behind your silence. I heard the questions you whispered late at night when no one else was around. Why does everything feel so heavy? Why do I feel forgotten? How much longer can I keep doing this? Yes, I heard every word. There were nights when your mind would not rest. Nights where your thoughts became louder than your peace. You tried to sleep, but anxiety wrapped itself around your chest. You replayed old mistakes, old wounds, old betrayals, old disappointments. You wondered if your life would ever truly change. And slowly, exhaustion settled deep within your soul. Not the kind of exhaustion sleep fixes, the kind that comes from carrying emotional weight for too long. My beloved child, you have carried burdens you were never meant to carry alone. You took responsibility for wounds others created. You blamed yourself for things beyond your control. You carried guilt from the past long after I had already extended grace toward you, and the enemy used that heaviness to convince you that your future would always remain trapped inside the pain of your past. But listen carefully now, that was never the truth. I never designed your life to remain imprisoned by fear, regret, heartbreak, or disappointment. You were created for far more than survival. You were created for restoration. But before restoration begins, hidden pain must be brought into the light. That is why this season became so emotionally intense. Because the wounds you buried deeply within yourself were quietly affecting everything around you. Your peace, your confidence, your relationships, your ability to trust, your ability to hope again. You tried to move forward while secretly bleeding inside, and eventually, your soul became tired. I know there were moments you felt completely alone, moments where you sat quietly in rooms full of people yet still felt unseen, moments where you wished someone would simply notice how much pain you were carrying without forcing you to explain it, moments where your heart silently begged for comfort while your mouth remained silent. But my child, I was there, closer than you realized, even in the darkest moments, especially in the darkest moments. You thought silence meant abandonment, but often silence was the moment I held you closest. There were times when you felt like giving up entirely, times where disappointment crushed your motivation, times where you stopped expecting anything good because life had wounded your expectations too many times before. You became afraid to hope again, afraid to trust again, afraid to dream again, because disappointment hurts deeply when your heart has already been fragile for so long. So instead, you began expecting less from life, less from people, less from yourself. You lowered your expectations just to protect yourself from more pain. But my beloved, you were never meant to live emotionally numb. You were never created to survive without joy. I did not place that longing inside your spirit only to ignore it. The desire for peace you carry, the desire to feel loved, the desire to finally feel safe emotionally, the desire to know your life matters. Those desires were not weakness. They were signs that your soul was searching for me. As it is written, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." Matthew 5:4. And comfort is exactly what I am bringing into your life now. Not temporary escape, not distractions, not false peace. Real healing. But healing begins in honesty. And tonight, I need you to stop pretending you are not hurting. Stop acting like the weight does not affect you. Stop convincing yourself that you must carry everything alone just because others failed to understand you before. My child, you do not need to earn my compassion. You already have it. You do not need to prove your worthiness before coming closer to me. I already chose you long before you understood your own value. Even now, while listening to these words, part of your heart still struggles to believe that things can truly become different. I know that because pain changes the way people see the future. After enough disappointment, the soul begins protecting itself by expecting nothing. But listen carefully. Your season is changing, even if you cannot fully see it yet. Something hidden has already begun shifting around your life. The heaviness you carried for so long will not remain forever. The confusion will not remain forever. The emotional exhaustion will not remain forever. And the tears you cried privately were not meaningless. I collected every single one. As it is written, you keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. Psalm 56:8. Do you understand what that means, my beloved? Nothing you suffered was ignored. Nothing you endured was wasted. Even the nights you believed nobody cared, heaven still watched over you. You survived moments that should have destroyed you emotionally, and yet you are still here, still listening, still searching, still holding on to even the smallest fragment of hope. That alone is proof that I have not released my hand from your life, because there were forces trying to convince you to quit entirely, forces trying to drain your hope, forces trying to isolate you emotionally until you believed nobody would ever understand your pain. But darkness cannot permanently hold someone I have chosen to restore, and restoration is closer than you think. My child, the reason your soul has felt restless lately is because deep within you, something is awakening. You are beginning to realize that you cannot remain trapped in the old version of yourself anymore. The version that tolerated emotional chains, the version that accepted constant fear, the version that kept apologizing for existing, the version that believed they were too broken to heal. That version is beginning to fade. And although transformation feels uncomfortable at first, it is necessary. Because the next season of your life cannot be entered while carrying the same emotional chains from the last season. You must release what has been poisoning your peace. You must stop building your identity around your wounds. You must stop agreeing with the voices that only speak fear over your future. Because I never called you hopeless. I never called you forgotten. I never called you too damaged to recover. My beloved child, I call you mine. And soon, you are going to understand why the enemy worked so hard to keep you trapped in sadness, confusion, fear, and emotional exhaustion. Because there is something inside you darkness recognized before you ever did. Something valuable, something chosen, something heaven intends to awaken fully. And in the next part, I will reveal why the spiritual battle around your life became so intense right before your breakthrough season began. My beloved child, there is a reason your life has felt like a battle for so long. There is a reason peace seemed difficult to hold on to. A reason confusion kept returning. A reason fear tried to speak louder than hope. And a reason you often felt attacked even during seasons when you were trying your hardest to heal. What you experienced was not always ordinary struggle. Some battles around your life were spiritual. As it is written, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." Ephesians 6:12. My child, not every delay was coincidence. Not every betrayal was random. Not every heavy season came simply because you were weak. There were unseen forces attempting to exhaust your spirit before you fully discovered who you truly are. Because darkness often attacks what heaven has already marked for purpose. And you, my beloved, carry purpose greater than you realize. The enemy recognized something valuable inside you long before you recognized it yourself. That is why the attacks became personal. That is why discouragement tried to settle deeply into your mind. That is why certain people suddenly changed toward you. That is why opportunities collapsed unexpectedly. That is why you experienced seasons where it felt like everything around you became spiritually heavy at once. The goal was never merely to hurt you. The goal was to make you stop believing in your future, to make you question your worth, to make you believe you were forgotten, to make you emotionally exhausted enough to surrender your destiny before it fully unfolded. But listen carefully now, my child. If the enemy truly had power to destroy your purpose, you would not still be here listening to these words tonight. The fact that you survived every attempt against your peace is proof that my hand has remained over your life. You thought you barely survived, but heaven says you were protected. There were moments you almost walked away from your purpose completely. Moments where hopelessness whispered constantly into your thoughts. You will never change. Nothing good is coming. You are too damaged now. No one truly cares. You should just give up. Those voices became so repetitive that part of you started believing them. And slowly, fear began shaping your expectations. You stopped anticipating joy because pain had become more familiar. You stopped trusting easily because betrayal had wounded your heart. You stopped dreaming boldly because disappointment had taught you to expect loss. But my beloved child, fear was never meant to become your identity. You were not created to live trapped inside survival mode forever. You were created to walk in peace, clarity, confidence, and purpose. That is why darkness fought you so intensely. Because deep inside you carry something dangerous to hopelessness. Something heaven placed within you before you were born. As it is written, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." Jeremiah 1:5. You were not created randomly. Your life carries assignment. Even your pain carries meaning. Even the battles you do not understand have been shaping strength inside you that you cannot fully see yet. My child, there were seasons where you thought you were losing yourself. But in truth, I was removing false versions of you that fear created. The fearful version, the ashamed version, the version constantly apologizing for existing, the version that believed they had to beg for love, the version that tolerated emotional chains because they forgot their value. Those versions cannot follow you into the next season I prepared for you, and that is why the battle intensified. Transformation often feels uncomfortable before it becomes beautiful. I know there were moments you asked me why life had to hurt this much, why certain people betrayed you, why doors kept closing, why loneliness lingered so heavily around your life, why your spirit felt under constant pressure. But what you could not see was this: the enemy attacks hardest when breakthrough is closest, because darkness fears what happens when you finally recognize who you are. My beloved, there is power in your healing, power in your testimony, power in your survival, power in your voice. And there is something about your future that threatens the darkness that tried to silence you. That is why the warfare became emotional first. The enemy knew if your mind became exhausted enough, your spirit would stop resisting. That is why confusion surrounded your thoughts. That is why anxiety increased at night. That is why isolation became tempting. That is why discouragement kept repeating itself. The battle was always trying to reach your identity. Because if someone forgets who they are, they eventually stop fighting for their future. But tonight, my child, I'm reminding you, you are not forgotten, you are not abandoned, you are not weak because you struggled emotionally, and you are certainly not defeated. You survived because I sustained you. Even when your faith became fragile, I carried you through moments you could not have survived alone. There were unseen battles where heaven defended you quietly. There were plans against your life that never succeeded because I intervened before they reached you. You call it coincidence, heaven calls it protection. There were accidents that could have happened but did not. Relationships that could have destroyed you deeper but ended early. Opportunities that looked perfect but secretly carried danger. I closed certain doors because I could see what your emotions could not. And although you cried over those losses at the time, one day you will thank me for protecting you from what would have broken your spirit even further. My beloved child, I know you became tired of fighting, tired of healing, tired of hoping, tired of rebuilding yourself after every painful season. Sometimes you wondered if peace would ever truly stay. But hear me clearly now. This battle will not last forever because the season you are entering is different. The chains that once controlled your emotions are beginning to weaken. The confusion is beginning to break. The heaviness around your spirit is beginning to lift. And the same darkness that tried to destroy your confidence will soon witness your restoration. As it is written, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. Notice what that verse says, my child. Weapons may form, battles may happen, attacks may come, but they will not ultimately succeed against the purpose I placed over your life. You are still standing for a reason, still breathing for a reason, still searching for hope for a reason. And tonight, heaven is reminding you that your story is far from over. In fact, the very battle that almost destroyed you is becoming the evidence that your destiny carries something extraordinary. Because ordinary people are rarely attacked this intensely. The enemy does not waste energy attacking empty purpose, and your survival alone proves there is something valuable ahead of you. So do not surrender now. Do not return to hopelessness now. Do not allow fear to speak louder than my promises now. Stay close to me, my child, because the next thing I reveal will explain why your life had to break apart before your true transformation could begin. And if this message is speaking directly to your spirit tonight, comment Amen below and stay until the end, because what comes next may completely change the way you understand every painful season you have survived, my beloved child. I know there were moments you believed your life was falling apart beyond repair. Moments where you looked around and quietly wondered why everything you tried to hold together kept slipping through your hands. Relationships changed, plans collapsed, people disappointed you, doors closed unexpectedly, and little by little, the version of life you once depended on began breaking apart in front of you. You asked me why. You asked me why things had to hurt this deeply. Why the waiting became so long, why your heart had to experience so much disappointment, why certain prayers seemed unanswered, while others around you appeared to move forward so easily. And at times, my child, you mistook the breaking for abandonment. But listen carefully now. Not every breaking is destruction. Sometimes, breaking is transformation beginning. As it is written, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. Romans 8:28. Notice those words carefully. All things, not only the joyful seasons, not only the victories, not only the moments where everything makes sense, even the painful parts, even the betrayals, even the delays, even the nights where your heart silently shattered while nobody noticed. I can use all of it. My beloved, there were parts of your life built upon fear, survival, people-pleasing, emotional exhaustion, and hidden insecurity. And although you learned how to survive inside those conditions, You were never truly at peace there. You became dependent on things that could never truly sustain your soul. The approval of others, the attention of people, temporary comfort, false stability, and because your heart had been wounded repeatedly, you slowly began building emotional walls around yourself just to avoid being hurt again. But walls that protect pain also block healing. That is why the old version of your life could not continue forever. Because where I am leading you, you cannot carry the same emotional chains into your future. My child, sometimes I allow certain things to break because they are no longer aligned with the destiny I prepared for you. I know that truth hurts to hear because you prayed for some of those relationships to survive. You begged for certain doors to stay open. You tried desperately to hold together things that were quietly damaging your spirit. And when those things ended, part of you felt like you failed. But hear me carefully now. Not every loss was punishment. Some losses were protection. Some endings were mercy. Some closed doors were answers to prayers you did not realize I was answering. You cried over people who could not go where I am taking you next. You mourned seasons that had already completed their purpose. You begged me to preserve things that were secretly draining your peace. And because you could not yet see the full picture, the breaking felt cruel. But heaven saw what you could not. As it is written, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways." Isaiah 55:8. My beloved child, there are blessings you asked for that required you to become someone emotionally stronger first. Because if I had released certain promises before healing your soul, you would have carried old wounds into new seasons, and unhealed pain can sabotage even beautiful blessings. That is why your healing became necessary before your elevation. That is why the breaking came before the rebuilding. I know you became frustrated watching others move ahead while your life felt delayed, but comparison blinded you from understanding what I was doing inside you. You saw delay, I saw preparation, you saw rejection, I saw redirection, you saw breaking, I saw rebuilding. And the rebuilding happening within you now is far deeper than external success. I am rebuilding your identity, rebuilding your confidence, rebuilding your peace, rebuilding your understanding of love, rebuilding the parts of you that trauma tried to destroy. My child, there were versions of yourself you needed to lose in order to discover who you truly are. The version that constantly settled for less than your value. The version that accepted emotional neglect because they feared being alone. The version that measured worth through other people's opinions. The version that secretly believed they had to earn love by overgiving, over-explaining, and exhausting themselves. That version had to break, not because I hated you, but because I loved you too much to leave you trapped there forever. And yes, transformation hurts sometimes, because growth often requires releasing identities that once felt safe. But what feels safe is not always what is healthy, my beloved child. Some of the hardest seasons of your life were not sent to destroy you. They were sent to awaken you. Awaken you to your value, awaken you to your purpose, awaken you to how deeply you needed me. Because before the breaking, you depended heavily on things outside of me for peace. And when those things collapsed, you felt lost. But now, slowly, you are beginning to understand that true peace cannot be built upon unstable foundations. Not people, not money, not approval, not temporary comfort, only me. As it is written, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Stillness was uncomfortable for you at first, because silence forced you to confront emotions you spent years avoiding. The loneliness, the grief, the insecurity, the exhaustion, the fear of not being enough. And for a while, you thought the silence itself was punishment. But in truth, silence became the place where I finally began healing the deepest parts of you, because distractions had kept your wounds hidden for too long. My beloved, I know there were nights you cried, asking why life had become so emotionally heavy. But you were not being buried. You were being planted. There is a difference. Seeds must first disappear beneath the soil before new life begins emerging. And the hidden season always feels uncomfortable because growth is happening invisibly. You thought nothing was happening, but beneath the surface, your roots were strengthening. Your spirit was maturing. Your discernment was increasing. Your dependence on me was deepening. And one day soon, the same season that nearly broke you emotionally will become the testimony that reveals how powerfully I restored you. Because your story is not ending in brokenness. It is moving toward restoration. My child, you will soon realize that some prayers could only be answered after certain illusions were removed from your life. You wanted immediate relief, but I wanted complete healing. You wanted temporary comfort, but I wanted transformation. You wanted the pain to stop quickly, but I wanted your soul restored deeply. And now, even though the process has been painful, you are becoming someone stronger, wiser, calmer, and more spiritually aware than before. The old version of you would not have survived where I am taking you next. That is why the breaking came first. But hear me carefully now. The breaking season is not your final season. You are not destined to remain exhausted forever. You are not destined to remain trapped in survival mode forever. You are not destined to remain emotionally shattered forever. Restoration is already beginning. Even now, things are quietly shifting around your life. Your spirit feels it. That restlessness inside you lately. That strange sense that something is changing, even when you cannot explain it. That is because heaven has already started moving. The rebuilding has begun. The healing has begun. The awakening has begun. And soon, my beloved child, you will look back at this painful season and realize that what nearly destroyed you actually introduced you to the strongest version of yourself you have ever known. So do not lose hope now. Do not return to fear now. Do not believe the lie that your pain was meaningless. Nothing you suffered was wasted in my hands. Nothing. And if this message speaks directly to your soul tonight, type "I trust you, God" in the comments below, because the next part will reveal the moment heaven finally decided to intervene in your situation, and why your breakthrough season is much closer than you think. My beloved child, there comes a moment in every battle where heaven says, enough. A moment unseen by human eyes. A moment where what looked impossible suddenly begins shifting quietly behind the scenes. A moment where prayers that seemed unanswered finally begin moving toward manifestation. And whether you fully realize it yet or not, that moment has already begun for you. As it is written, before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear. Isaiah 65:24. My child, you believed heaven was silent because you could not immediately see change. But silence never meant absence. There were movements happening around your life long before visible evidence appeared. I was already arranging things while you were still crying over what broke you, already protecting you while you feared abandonment, already preparing restoration while you thought your story was ending. You judged your future based on what your eyes could currently see. But heaven does not operate only within visible reality. There are blessings prepared in silence, miracles prepared in hidden places, divine connections moving toward you while you remain unaware. And breakthrough often begins invisibly before it becomes visible. That is why this season felt strange to you lately. Part of you sensed change approaching even while circumstances still looked uncertain. You began feeling restless, emotionally sensitive, spiritually awake in ways you could not explain. Certain things no longer satisfied your soul the way they once did. Certain environments suddenly began feeling heavy. Certain people began drifting away naturally. And deep inside, something kept whispering, your life is about to change. My beloved child, that whisper was not imagination. It was heaven preparing you emotionally before the breakthrough arrives physically, because sudden blessings still require prepared hearts. I know there were moments you almost gave up completely right before this shift began. Moments where disappointment convinced you that nothing would ever improve. Moments where exhaustion nearly stole the final pieces of hope remaining inside you. But listen carefully now. The enemy attacks hardest when heaven is closest to intervening, because darkness recognizes movement before humans do. That is why confusion increased suddenly. That is why emotional warfare intensified recently. That is why old fears resurfaced. That is why discouragement tried returning stronger than before. The enemy hoped exhaustion would make you surrender moments before your breakthrough season arrived. But my beloved, you survived long enough to reach this moment, and now everything begins changing. Not all at once, not loudly, but deeply, quietly, irreversibly. My child, heaven rarely moves the way humans expect. You expected immediate answers, instant clarity, visible miracles. But often I begin healing your spirit before changing your circumstances, because external blessings cannot sustain someone internally broken. That is why your soul had to awaken first. That is why your discernment increased. That is why your spirit became more sensitive recently. You are beginning to recognize what drains your peace and what carries my presence. And that awareness itself is part of the intervention. As it is written, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. Isaiah 9:2. Notice something important, my beloved. The light appears while they are still walking through darkness. Not after, during, meaning transformation often begins before your environment changes. And that is exactly what is happening now. You are changing internally. Your perspective is changing. Your spiritual awareness is changing. The things you tolerate are changing. Even your prayers are changing, because pain once forced you to pray only for survival. But now, your spirit is beginning to pray for purpose, and purpose changes everything. My beloved child, there were things delayed in your life because the old version of you could not yet sustain them. But heaven has been preparing you quietly through every painful season you survived. The loneliness prepared discernment. The heartbreak prepared wisdom. The waiting prepared endurance. The betrayal prepared spiritual maturity. Nothing was wasted. Even now, there are things moving into place that you cannot yet fully see. Conversations happening behind closed doors. Opportunities approaching silently. Doors preparing to open unexpectedly. People being removed from your path before they delay your destiny further. And blessings drawing closer at the exact timing heaven prepared. You thought your life was stuck, but heaven was repositioning everything. My beloved, some miracles take time because they involve more than one life. Sometimes I must move people, shift environments, close old chapters, prepare hearts, align timing, protect you from what you cannot yet see. And because humans only see the delay, they often miss the divine orchestration happening underneath it all. But one day soon, you will understand why certain prayers were not answered immediately. You will understand why certain relationships had to end, why certain doors remained closed, why certain seasons felt unbearably slow. Because had everything happened earlier, it would not have carried the same blessing, protection, or maturity you now possess. My child, heaven intervenes differently than the world expects. Sometimes intervention looks like removal before restoration, isolation before elevation, stillness before breakthrough, breaking before rebuilding. And that is why you must not judge this season incorrectly. Because although things appeared to fall apart externally, spiritually, heaven had already begun rebuilding your future. You are closer than you realize. Closer to peace, closer to healing, closer to clarity, closer to the version of yourself you prayed to become during your darkest nights. And the shift already started. That is why your spirit no longer feels comfortable staying in old patterns. You are outgrowing fear, outgrowing emotional dependence on unhealthy things, outgrowing environments that once controlled your peace, outgrowing the version of yourself built entirely around survival. My beloved child, Heaven is intervening because your season has changed. The waiting season cannot last forever. The wilderness season cannot last forever. The mourning season cannot last forever. As it is written, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Psalm 35 morning is approaching, not only externally, internally. Your spirit is waking up again. Hope is returning again. Faith is breathing again. And the same person who once cried themselves to sleep, wondering if life would ever improve, will soon become living proof that restoration is real. But hear me carefully now. Do not become impatient during this transition season, because breakthrough rarely arrives all at once. Sometimes it begins with small signs, unexpected peace, a sudden opportunity, a restored sense of hope, a conversation, a door opening naturally, a burden lifting quietly from your spirit. Do not ignore the small signs, because they are confirmation that heaven is already moving. My beloved, there is a reason you survived everything that tried to destroy you. There is a reason your heart still longs for more despite all the disappointment you endured. There is a reason your spirit kept searching even during seasons where you felt emotionally numb, because your story was never meant to end in defeat. And now, heaven is beginning to reveal why. Very soon, you will start noticing signs that things are shifting around your life. The same confusion that clouded your mind will begin losing power. The heaviness around your spirit will begin lifting. The fear that once controlled your thoughts will weaken, and clarity will begin replacing chaos. Because once heaven intervenes, darkness cannot permanently stop what I have already decided to restore. My beloved child, stay close to me now. Do not return to hopelessness. Do not retreat into fear again. This next season requires trust, because the signs you are about to receive will not appear the way you expected. And in the next part, I will reveal how heaven speaks through hidden confirmations, quiet signs, and unexpected moments that most people overlook completely. If you feel this message speaking directly into your spirit tonight, comment, "God is working," below, and stay until the next part, because the signs heaven is about to send may already be appearing around your life right now. My beloved child, you have asked me for signs more times than you realize, sometimes out loud, sometimes silently, sometimes through tears, sometimes through exhaustion, and sometimes through quiet thoughts whispered deep within your spirit. God, are you still with me? Am I moving in the right direction? Will things ever truly change? Please show me something. And my child, I heard every single prayer, but listen carefully now. The signs I send rarely arrive the way people expect, because humans often look for dramatic moments while I move quietly within ordinary ones. As it is written, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." John 10:27, notice what that means. My voice is not always loud, not always dramatic, not always obvious to everyone else. Often it comes softly, quietly, deep within your spirit, a sudden peace, a strange feeling pulling you in a different direction, a conversation that arrives at the perfect moment, a message that speaks directly into your hidden pain, a door opening naturally after months of delay, a burden lifting without explanation. My beloved child, those are often the signs people overlook, because they expected thunder while I chose whispering. You have spent so long waiting for your entire life to change instantly that you almost missed the quiet ways heaven has already been speaking to you. But now your spirit is becoming more sensitive. That is why certain things suddenly feel different lately. You notice things more deeply. You feel energies around people more clearly. You sense when environments disturb your peace. You feel emotionally drawn away from certain places you once tolerated. And although you cannot fully explain it, part of you knows something is shifting. That awareness itself is a sign, because before external breakthrough happens, spiritual discernment awakens first. My child, the reason your spirit became restless recently is because your soul can sense movement before your eyes can see it. And heaven has already started moving around your life. As it is written, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalm 46. 10. Stillness is important because noise often blocks discernment. Fear creates noise, anxiety creates noise, distractions create noise. And when your mind becomes overwhelmed, you stop noticing the quiet ways I guide you. That is why this season forced you into stillness, not to punish you, but to help you hear me again. Because for too long, you were surrounded by voices pulling your attention away from peace. People telling you who you should become. Fear telling you what might go wrong. Past wounds telling you not to trust again. Disappointment telling you not to hope anymore. And underneath all that noise, my voice waited patiently, still speaking, still guiding, still protecting, even when you struggled to hear me clearly. My beloved child, signs often appear when your heart finally becomes quiet enough to notice them. And some signs are already appearing around your life now. You may suddenly feel disconnected from old environments. That is a sign. You may feel emotionally uncomfortable continuing old patterns. That is a sign. You may notice repeated confirmations appearing through different conversations, messages, or moments. That is a sign. You may feel unexpected peace in situations that once caused anxiety. That is a sign. You may suddenly lose desire for things that once controlled your emotions. That is a sign. Transformation often begins internally before circumstances visibly change. And that is exactly why many people miss their breakthrough season entirely. They look only for external miracles while ignoring internal awakening. But my beloved, your spirit is waking up, and heaven is preparing you carefully for what comes next. I know there are moments where doubt still tries to speak into your mind. Moments where fear whispers, what if nothing changes? What if you are imagining all this? What if disappointment comes again? But listen carefully. Fear always speaks loudest right before breakthrough, because darkness hopes uncertainty will make you stop trusting before the blessing arrives. That is why you must stop depending only on visible evidence, because faith grows strongest when trust continues even before proof appears. As it is written, for we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. My child, there are things moving into place for you right now that your physical eyes cannot yet fully perceive. People being aligned, doors preparing to open, opportunities quietly approaching, protection operating behind the scenes, and spiritual attacks weakening around your life. You thought heaven forgot you, but heaven was preparing timing, because the right blessing at the wrong time can become destruction instead of restoration. That is why preparation mattered, and now the signs are beginning. Pay attention to your spirit in this season. Not every sign will come through dramatic miracles. Sometimes I speak through peace, sometimes through conviction, sometimes through sudden clarity, sometimes through the removal of things that no longer belong in your future. And yes, sometimes the sign is separation. There are people drifting away from your life right now because they cannot follow you into the next season I prepared for you. Do not chase what I am removing. Do not beg old seasons to stay alive, because some endings are signs themselves, signs that growth has begun. My beloved child, I know you became emotionally attached to certain things you prayed would remain forever, but not everything that felt familiar was healthy for your spirit. And part of my intervention involves removing distractions before restoration fully arrives. That is why this transition season feels strange. Part of you is grieving old chapters while another part senses something better approaching. And that emotional tension can feel confusing at times. But trust me, you are not losing your path. You are being redirected toward it. The signs will continue increasing now. You will notice unusual peace, unexpected opportunities, new understanding, clearer discernment. and moments where your spirit suddenly feels reassurance without explanation. Do not ignore those moments, because heaven often confirms direction through peace before manifestation appears physically. My beloved, one conversation may change everything soon. One opportunity, one connection, one unexpected shift, one answered prayer. And suddenly you will understand why nothing worked out the way you originally planned. Because I was preparing something greater than what you settled for before. But hear me carefully now. The next phase of your transformation requires one difficult thing from you. You must release what is poisoning your peace, because some wounds still quietly control your emotions. Some bitterness still lingers beneath your healing. Some pain from the past still speaks louder than trust at times. And the next blessing cannot fully enter while your soul remains chained to old hurt. That is why the next part matters deeply, because I am about to reveal the painful truth about forgiveness, emotional freedom, and why holding on to old wounds may be delaying the peace you have prayed for. If this message is touching your spirit tonight, comment "I receive this" sign below and stay with me, because what comes next may completely free your heart from the emotional chains you have carried for far too long. My beloved child, there is something hidden inside your heart that has been quietly draining your peace for longer than you realize. Something heavy, something painful, something you tried to bury instead of heal. And although you continued moving forward outwardly, inwardly, part of your soul remained trapped in old wounds. You carried the memories, the betrayal, the disappointment, the words spoken against you, the rejection you never fully recovered from, the moments that changed the way you saw yourself. And little by little, pain became part of your identity. But listen carefully now, my child. You cannot carry peace and poison at the same time. As it is written, forgive and you will be forgiven. Luke 6:37. I know forgiveness feels difficult for you, because what happened truly hurt. Some people broke your trust deeply. Some abandoned you when you needed them most. Some used your kindness against you. Some spoke wounds into your spirit that you still hear echoing inside your mind today. And part of you feels justified holding on to the pain because you never received the apology you deserved. I understand that. I saw every tear, every betrayal, every silent heartbreak. Nothing that happened to you escaped my sight. But my beloved, holding on to bitterness is slowly exhausting your spirit, not because your pain was fake, but because unhealed pain eventually becomes poison within the soul. At first, bitterness feels like protection. It convinces you that if you remain guarded enough, angry enough, emotionally distant enough, nobody can wound you again. But over time, bitterness begins poisoning the person carrying it. It steals peace, steals joy, steals trust, steals emotional freedom. And eventually, it begins controlling the way you see yourself, others, and even your future. That is why some days your spirit still feels heavy, even when circumstances temporarily improve. Because unresolved pain travels with you wherever you go until it is finally released. My beloved child, some of the battles you blamed on external situations were actually internal wounds still asking to be healed. You cannot fully embrace a new season while emotionally chained to old pain. That is why this part of your healing matters so deeply. Because breakthrough requires release, and release requires honesty. I know there are people you still secretly resent, people you still replay conversations about inside your mind, moments where your heart still whispers, "They should not have treated me that way. They destroyed something inside me. They never understood how deeply they hurt me. And yes, what happened mattered. But hear me carefully now. Your future is too important to remain imprisoned by your past. The enemy knows that if he cannot destroy your destiny directly, he will try to keep your soul emotionally trapped inside old wounds instead, because wounded people struggle to trust, struggle to hope, struggle to receive love fully, struggle to recognize blessings clearly, and slowly, pain begins shaping their entire identity. But my beloved, pain was never meant to become your permanent home. As it is written, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7. Notice those words. Cast it, release it, not carry it forever. Not relive it forever. Not build your identity around it forever. Release it. I know part of you fears letting go because anger became the last connection to what hurt you. You think if you release the pain, then somehow what happened no longer mattered. But forgiveness does not erase truth. Forgiveness frees your soul from carrying the wound endlessly. And my child, you deserve freedom again. You deserve to breathe without emotional heaviness constantly pressing against your spirit. You deserve peace that is not controlled by what someone else did to you years ago. You deserve mornings where your first emotion is not anxiety. You deserve relationships not built entirely around fear of abandonment. You deserve to experience joy without guilt, but that healing cannot fully enter while bitterness remains hidden inside your heart. My beloved child, some people owe you apologies you may never receive, and that hurts deeply because humans naturally want acknowledgement for the pain they survived. But do not allow your healing to depend upon someone else's awareness. Some people will never fully understand what they did. Some will never take accountability. Some will move forward while you remain carrying the emotional damage. And if you wait for perfect closure before allowing yourself to heal, you will remain emotionally chained to people who already left your life. That is why I am calling you higher now. Not because your pain was small, but because your future matters too much. My child, forgiveness is not weakness. It is spiritual freedom. It is choosing peace over poison. It is refusing to allow old wounds to continue controlling your future. And yes, healing takes time. There are wounds inside you that formed over years. Rejection, neglect, betrayal, loneliness, disappointment, fear. Those things do not disappear overnight. But tonight, release can begin. Even now, while listening to these words, part of your soul already knows exactly what I am speaking about. You know the memory that still hurts, the person whose name still changes your emotions, the wound you revisit repeatedly in silence, the pain you thought time alone would heal. But time does not heal what remains hidden. Truth heals, surrender heals, my presence heals. And my beloved child, I am not asking you to pretend you were never hurt. I am asking you to stop drinking poison while hoping someone else suffers from it. Because bitterness always destroys the vessel carrying it first. That is why your soul has felt so tired lately. You were trying to move toward destiny while still carrying emotional chains from old seasons. And those chains became heavy. So heavy that sometimes you questioned whether peace was even possible anymore. But hear me carefully now. Peace is still possible for you. Joy is still possible for you. Love is still possible for you. Trust is still possible for you. Healing is still possible for you. Because I have not abandoned your heart. As it is written, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. That promise includes you, my child, even with all your scars, even with your doubts, even after everything you survived. You are not too damaged for restoration. And tonight, heaven is asking you to release what has been quietly poisoning your spirit. Release the resentment. Release the shame. Release the self-hatred. Release the guilt. Release the need to replay old pain endlessly. Because the next season of your life cannot bloom fully while your soul remains attached to what broke you. There is greater peace ahead, greater clarity ahead, greater emotional freedom ahead. But your hands must open first. You cannot receive new blessings while tightly gripping old pain. My beloved child, I know forgiveness feels impossible some days, but you do not heal by carrying darkness deeper into your future. You heal by finally allowing light to enter the places you once kept hidden. And that process begins now, slowly, quietly, deeply. The poison is leaving your soul. The chains are weakening. The heaviness is lifting. And very soon, you will understand why certain people had to leave your life completely before your real transformation could begin. Because the next part reveals a truth you were never expecting. Some of the people who walked away were actually part of heaven's protection over your future. If this message is speaking directly to your heart tonight, comment, "I release the pain," and stay with me. Because what comes next may completely change the way you see every painful goodbye you ever survived. My beloved child, there are some goodbyes you still do not fully understand. Some losses that continue echoing quietly inside your heart. People you truly believed would remain beside you forever. People you prayed for, fought for, trusted deeply, and when they walked away, something inside you broke. You questioned yourself, questioned your worth, questioned whether you had somehow failed. Because when people leave unexpectedly, the human heart often turns the pain inward. You wondered, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? Why do people I love always leave? But listen carefully now, my beloved. Not everyone who exits your life is a loss. Some departures are divine protection. As it is written, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." Hebrews 13:5. Humans may walk away. Humans may disappoint you. Humans may fail to recognize your value. But I never abandoned you, not once. Even during the moments where you felt emotionally shattered by rejection, I remained beside you quietly, protecting your future in ways you could not yet understand. My child, some people were only assigned to your life for a season, not for your destiny. And when their season ended, your spirit sensed it before your emotions accepted it. That is why certain relationships slowly became heavy, forced, confusing, draining. You tried to preserve connections that no longer carried peace because part of you feared loneliness more than misalignment. But my beloved, attachment and alignment are not always the same thing. Just because someone became emotionally important does not mean they were spiritually assigned to remain forever. And yes, accepting that truth hurts, because you invested your heart sincerely. You imagined futures with people who quietly outgrew alignment with your destiny. You stayed loyal even while feeling unseen. You gave chances repeatedly because you feared losing connection. But eventually, the pain became impossible to ignore, and still you blamed yourself. You thought the ending meant you were unlovable. But hear me carefully now. Some people left because they could not accompany you into the next season I prepared for you. Not because you lacked value, but because your path was changing. My beloved child, some relationships survived only because you kept carrying them alone. You exhausted yourself trying to hold together connections that heaven was already removing. You over-explained yourself, overgave, overextended your heart, hoping your loyalty would convince people to love you correctly. But love that constantly requires you to abandon yourself is not the love I intended for you. And deep inside, your spirit already knew that. That is why peace slowly disappeared. Because your soul was carrying relationships your future could no longer sustain. As it is written, can two walk together unless they are agreed? Amos 3:3. Alignment matters, my child. Not everyone assigned to your past belongs in your future. Some people were connected to a version of you that no longer exists. The fearful version, the wounded version, the version desperate for validation, the version willing to settle for emotional inconsistency simply to avoid being alone. But you are changing now. Your discernment is growing, your spirit is awakening, and because of that, certain connections naturally began falling away, not as punishment, as protection. My beloved child, some people were unknowingly delaying your healing, keeping you emotionally attached to old patterns, old insecurities, old wounds. And as long as they remained close, you struggled to fully become who I created you to be. That is why separation became necessary. I know you cried over those endings. I know some nights you replayed conversations repeatedly inside your mind, trying to understand what changed. I know part of you still misses certain people even after everything they put you through, because your heart loved sincerely, and sincere hearts grieve deeply. But listen carefully now. You are grieving not only the person, you are grieving the future you imagined with them, the memories, the hope, the version of life you thought would continue forever. And when that vision collapsed, your soul felt disoriented. But my beloved, what ended was not greater than what is coming. You still think some losses ruined your life. One day you will realize they redirected it. Because had certain people remained, they would have limited the growth, peace, healing, and purpose I prepared for you. Some would have kept you emotionally small. Some would have continued reopening old wounds. Some would have distracted you from your calling entirely. And because I love you too much to leave you trapped in emotional cycles forever, I allowed separation. Not to destroy you, to free you. My beloved child, loneliness after separation can feel unbearable at first, because silence exposes emotional dependence. You became accustomed to reaching for people who were never truly capable of carrying the weight your soul needed healed. And when they disappeared, the emptiness became loud. But that emptiness created space. Space for healing. Space for clarity. Space for your identity to rebuild outside of emotional dependency. And most importantly, space for you to hear my voice again. As it is written, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Stillness became necessary because your soul had been surrounded by too much emotional noise, fear, inconsistency, manipulation, uncertainty, confusion. And now, even though this season feels lonely at times, your spirit is finally beginning to breathe again. You are beginning to recognize what real peace feels like. Not temporary emotional highs, not chaotic attachment, not constantly wondering where you stand with someone. Real peace. The kind that does not require you to betray yourself to maintain connection. My beloved child, stop mourning people who only loved fragments of you. The right people will not require you to shrink in order to stay connected. They will not punish your softness. They will not manipulate your loyalty. They will not disappear every time your soul needs reassurance. And until those aligned relationships arrive, I need you to stop believing isolation means abandonment. This season is rebuilding you, rebuilding your standards, rebuilding your identity, rebuilding your understanding of what healthy love actually feels like. Because wounded hearts often confuse emotional intensity with genuine connection. But true peace does not constantly exhaust your spirit. And where I am leading you, peace matters deeply. My child, some people left because their assignment in your life ended. Others left because they resisted the version of you becoming stronger. And some left because darkness could no longer control you through them. Yes, there were relationships connected to spiritual warfare too. The enemy often uses emotional attachment to keep people chained to unhealthy cycles. Because when someone constantly drains your peace, they drain your spiritual clarity as well. And slowly, you forget your worth. But tonight, my beloved, your worth is being restored. You are no longer begging for love that wounds you, no longer chasing validation from people who never truly saw your value, no longer attaching your identity to who stayed and who left. Because your value was never dependent on human consistency. Your value comes from me, and I chose you long before anyone accepted or rejected you. As it is written, you are precious and honored in my sight, and I love you. Isaiah 43:4. Read that again within your spirit, my child. You are loved, not because humans always understood you, not because everyone stayed, not because you never struggled, You are loved because I created you intentionally, and the people meant for your future will recognize the peace, depth, healing, and purpose growing within you now. So stop looking backward constantly. Stop reopening doors I already closed. Stop romanticizing seasons that quietly destroyed your peace. The chapter ahead carries greater alignment than the one behind you. And soon, you will understand why feeling different your entire life was never actually a weakness. It was the first sign that you were set apart for something greater. If this message is touching your soul tonight, comment, "God removed what was not for me," and stay with me, because the next part reveals why you always felt different from everyone around you, and how that difference was connected to your true purpose all along. My beloved child, there is a reason you never fully felt like you belonged in certain places, a reason you often felt misunderstood even while surrounded by people, a reason your spirit carried a strange sense of separation your entire life. And for many years, you mistook that feeling as weakness. You thought something was wrong with you, too sensitive, too emotional, too deep, too quiet, too different. You watched other people seem comfortable blending into the world around them, while your soul constantly felt restless, searching, unsettled. And slowly you began asking yourself painful questions. Why do I always feel different? Why do I struggle to connect deeply with people? Why do I feel alone even around others? Why does my heart carry emotions so intensely? But listen carefully now, my beloved. You were never different by accident. As it is written, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." Jeremiah 1:5. Read those words again slowly within your spirit. Before your pain, before your confusion, before your heartbreak, before people misunderstood you, I already knew you. Meaning your sensitivity was not a mistake. Your depth was not weakness. Your unusual path was not random. You were designed intentionally. My child, some souls are called to walk differently because their purpose requires deeper awareness. That is why superficial things never satisfied you for long. That is why fake relationships exhausted you. That is why environments filled with chaos quietly drained your spirit. And that is why your soul constantly searched for meaning, while others seemed content, remaining distracted. There has always been something inside you that recognized there was more to life than survival, more than appearances, more than temporary pleasure, more than pretending everything is fine. And because of that awareness, you often felt isolated. Because when someone carries spiritual sensitivity, they naturally begin noticing what others ignore. You sensed dishonesty. You sensed emotional shifts. You sensed when people carried hidden intentions. You sensed heaviness in environments before anything visible happened. And at times, those sensitivities overwhelmed you, especially when you were younger, because nobody taught you how to understand what your spirit was feeling. So instead, you judged yourself for it. You tried becoming harder, less emotional, less caring, less sensitive. You attempted blending into environments your soul was never designed to thrive inside. And every time you ignored your spirit just to feel accepted, something inside you became exhausted, because your soul was never created to betray itself for belonging. My beloved child, part of your pain came from trying to fit into places I never designed as your final destination. And the more you ignored your inner discernment, the heavier your spirit became. That is why some relationships drained you so deeply. You stayed connected to people your spirit already knew were misaligned, but fear of loneliness made you silence discernment repeatedly. And eventually, your soul became tired, very tired, because spiritually sensitive people suffer deeply when they remain too long in environments that oppose their peace. That is why separation became necessary. That is why isolation sometimes entered your life unexpectedly, not to punish you, but to reconnect you with yourself again. As it is written, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him." Psalm 37:7. Stillness became the place where your true identity slowly started awakening. Away from constant noise, away from unhealthy attachment, away from the pressure to perform for acceptance. And during that process, you began rediscovering parts of yourself you abandoned long ago. Your intuition, your softness, your spiritual awareness, your creativity, your empathy, your ability to feel deeply. Those were never flaws, my child. Those were signs. Signs that your spirit was created for more than ordinary survival. But hear me carefully now. Being chosen often feels lonely before purpose becomes clear, because people misunderstand what they cannot relate to, and your spirit was never meant to follow every crowd. That is why you often felt emotionally disconnected from environments others enjoyed easily. Your soul longed for depth while others remained comfortable in distraction. Your spirit searched for truth while others settled for appearances. And although this difference made you feel isolated at times, it was actually preparing discernment within you. Discernment necessary for the next season of your life. My beloved child, the enemy recognized your sensitivity before you understood it yourself. That is why confusion attacked your identity early. That is why self-doubt followed you repeatedly. That is why insecurity tried becoming your inner voice. Because if darkness could convince you your differences were flaws, you would spend your life rejecting the very qualities connected to your purpose. And for a while, that almost happened. You apologized for your depth, apologized for your emotions, apologized for caring too much, apologized for needing peace, apologized for wanting genuine connection instead of shallow attachment. But hear me clearly now. You do not need to apologize for the way I created you. Your sensitivity is not weakness. Your depth is not weakness. Your emotional awareness is not weakness. The world taught you to suppress what heaven placed inside you intentionally. But now, I am restoring your understanding of yourself. My child, there are people assigned to your future who will understand the version of you that others rejected. People who will not fear your depth. People who will value your heart instead of taking advantage of it. People aligned with the peace, maturity, and healing developing inside you now. But first, you must stop seeing yourself through the eyes of people who never understood your purpose. You spent too long allowing rejection to define your worth. Too long believing being misunderstood meant you were unlovable. Too long comparing yourself to people whose paths were never meant to resemble yours. And comparison poisoned your peace, because comparison blinds people from recognizing the beauty of their own assignment. As it is written, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. That includes every part of you, my beloved, even the parts you tried hiding, even the parts others criticized, even the parts that made you feel different. You are not a mistake needing correction. You are a soul carrying purpose, and your sensitivity will eventually become strength once healing fully transforms it. Because healed sensitivity becomes discernment, healed depth becomes wisdom, healed pain becomes compassion, healed survival becomes testimony. That is why your story matters. Everything you survived is shaping the person you are becoming. The rejection, the loneliness, the waiting, the emotional battles, none of it was random. And one day soon, the same qualities you once viewed as weaknesses will become the very things helping others heal too. Because wounded healers often carry the deepest compassion. My beloved child, stop asking why you were different. Instead, begin asking what your difference was preparing you for. Because there is purpose connected to your story, purpose connected to your survival, purpose connected to the battles you endured. And soon, your understanding of yourself will shift completely. You will stop seeing your life through the lens of rejection and begin seeing it through the lens of calling. But hear me carefully now. Being chosen also made you a target. The enemy attacked your confidence because he feared your awakening. He attacked your identity because he feared your purpose. He attacked your peace because he feared what would happen once your spirit fully healed. And in the next part, I will reveal why the attacks against your life became so intense, and how the warfare you survived was actually confirmation that your future carries something powerful. If this message speaks directly into your soul tonight, comment, "I was chosen for a purpose," and stay with me, because the next revelation may completely change the way you understand every battle you survived. My beloved child, there is something you must finally understand about the battles you survived. The attacks against your life were never random. The enemy was not fighting the version of you that felt weak. He was fighting the version of you you had not fully become yet. As it is written, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." Isaiah 54:17. Notice carefully what this means. Weapons were formed, battles came, pain happened, betrayal happened, confusion happened, fear tried to consume your thoughts. But despite everything that came against you, you are still here, still breathing, still searching, still awakening. And that alone proves something powerful. The attacks failed to destroy the purpose placed over your life. My beloved child, darkness does not attack empty destiny. The intensity of your warfare was confirmation that your future carries significance. That is why your mind became a battlefield so often. Because if the enemy could not destroy your purpose physically, he would attempt to exhaust you emotionally. Fear, self-doubt, shame, isolation, confusion, discouragement, these became weapons aimed at your identity, because identity determines direction. And if someone forgets who they are, they eventually stop walking toward who they were meant to become. That is why so many attacks focused on your confidence. The enemy knew if you ever fully recognized your worth, your healing, your spiritual authority, your purpose, everything would begin changing. So instead, darkness tried convincing you that you were broken beyond restoration. Too damaged, too late, too weak, too emotional, too different. But those voices never came from me. I never spoke hopelessness over your future. I never called you forgotten. I never looked at your wounds and decided you were unusable. My beloved, I always saw who you would become after healing. And heaven never judged you based on your broken season. Heaven saw your restoration long before you did. That is why you survived things that should have destroyed you emotionally. There were moments where your heart was hanging by a thread, moments where exhaustion became so heavy you silently wondered whether life would ever feel peaceful again. Moments where disappointment repeated itself so often that part of you stopped expecting anything good entirely. And yet, something inside you kept going, even when you wanted to quit, even when your faith became weak, even when your spirit felt numb. You survived because my hand remained over your life. As it is written, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. That's Exodus 14:14. My child, there were battles fought around you that you never even saw. Things I protected you from quietly, paths I blocked, people I removed, traps I prevented. Because the enemy's goal was never simply to hurt your feelings. The enemy wanted to delay your awakening, delay your healing, delay your understanding of your true value. Because healed people become dangerous to darkness. Once someone truly recognizes who they are in me, fear begins losing control over them. And fear had controlled your life for too long. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of abandonment, fear of not being enough, fear of hoping again, fear of trusting again. Fear became the invisible prison around your soul. But now, the prison is weakening, and darkness knows it. That is why spiritual warfare sometimes intensifies right before breakthrough seasons begin. Because the enemy fears losing access to your mind once healing fully starts. My beloved child, some of the attacks you survived were connected to generational patterns too. Cycles of fear, cycles of emotional brokenness, cycles of instability, cycles of silence, cycles of believing survival was all life could ever be. And for a long time, those cycles shaped your identity. You learned to expect disappointment, learned to suppress emotions, learned to survive instead of truly live. But hear me carefully now. The cycle stops with you. You were chosen to break patterns others accepted. That is why your battles felt unusually heavy. Because whenever someone is called to transform a cycle, resistance increases. The enemy hoped the pressure would convince you to surrender before transformation happened. But my beloved, you stayed alive long enough to awaken. And now darkness is losing the version of you it once controlled through fear. As it is written, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. Truth changes everything. The moment you realize your worth does not depend on human validation, chains begin breaking. The moment you stop defining yourself through past pain, chains begin breaking. The moment you understand that your sensitivity was never weakness, chains begin breaking. The moment you stop apologizing for your existence, chains begin breaking. And the enemy knows that once your identity heals, your entire future changes. That is why confusion fought your clarity so aggressively. Because clarity creates movement, clarity creates courage. Clarity creates peace, and peace terrifies darkness. My beloved child, your survival already carries power. The fact that you remained kind after being wounded, still capable of love after betrayal, still searching for hope after disappointment, still listening despite exhaustion. That alone reveals strength greater than you recognize. You thought surviving made you weak, but surviving refined you. It deepened your compassion, strengthened your discernment, expanded your understanding, prepared your testimony. Because one day, someone else will survive because of the wisdom born from your healing. Nothing was wasted, not even your pain, especially your pain. My child, the enemy attacked your peace because your future carries healing for others too. People connected to your destiny will one day find hope through the story you almost gave up on. That is why you could not be destroyed. There is purpose attached to your survival, purpose attached to your restoration, purpose attached to your awakening, and soon, the same battles that once made you question your worth will become evidence of how powerfully I carried you through. You will stop seeing yourself as the victim of your story and begin seeing yourself as living proof of my restoration. But hear me carefully now. Do not return to old thinking patterns. Do not agree with the lies fear once whispered into your mind. Do not rebuild emotional prisons I already started tearing down. Because where I am leading you, fear cannot remain your master. Peace must replace it. Trust must replace it. Truth must replace it. My beloved child, the warfare around your life is shifting now. The confusion is weakening. The heaviness is lifting. The attacks against your identity are losing power. And heaven is preparing to reveal why your waiting season lasted longer than you expected. Because the delay was never punishment, it was preparation. Preparation for strength. Preparation for maturity. Preparation for alignment. Preparation for the life your healed soul will finally be ready to sustain. And in the next part, I will reveal why the season of waiting is finally coming to an end, and why everything you thought was delayed may actually arrive at the perfect time. If this message is speaking directly into your spirit tonight, comment, "No weapon against me shall prosper," and stay with me, because the next revelation may completely change the way you see every delay you ever cried over. My beloved child, I know the waiting has exhausted you, not just waiting for circumstances to change, but waiting for relief, waiting for clarity, waiting for peace, waiting for your heart to finally feel safe again. There were moments where it felt like your entire life became one long season of uncertainty. You kept hoping things would improve, yet time passed slowly and silence often seemed louder than answers. And little by little, part of you began wondering whether your breakthrough would ever truly come. But listen carefully now, my beloved. The waiting season was never meant to last forever. As it is written, to everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1a season, not permanence, not your final destination, a season, and the season you have been trapped inside is beginning to change. I know you became discouraged watching others move ahead while your own prayers seemed delayed. You compared timelines, compared progress, compared blessings, and secretly part of your heart wondered why life seemed easier for everyone else. But my child, you were measuring your journey through human timing instead of divine preparation. You thought delay meant denial, but often delay was protection, because there were things your spirit needed to learn before certain blessings could safely enter your life. The waiting developed discernment. The waiting deepened your dependence on me. The waiting exposed unhealthy attachments. The waiting strengthened your emotional endurance. The waiting revealed who truly belonged in your life and who only belonged temporarily. Nothing was wasted. Even the silence carried purpose. My beloved child, seeds buried beneath the soil appear forgotten for a season. Nothing visible happens immediately, no outward evidence. No visible growth, only darkness, only pressure, only hidden transformation. But beneath the surface, roots are forming. Strength is developing invisibly. And when the season changes, growth suddenly appears where silence once existed. That is exactly what has been happening within you. You thought nothing was changing, but internally, your spirit has been transforming this entire time. Your standards changed, your discernment changed, your understanding of yourself changed, even your prayers changed. You stopped asking only for temporary relief and started longing for genuine peace. That shift matters deeply, because heaven responds differently once your soul becomes ready for alignment instead of survival. My beloved, some blessings remain delayed because your old mindset would have destroyed them. You prayed for relationships while still accepting emotional inconsistency. You prayed for peace while remaining emotionally attached to chaos. You prayed for breakthrough while still secretly believing you were unworthy of receiving it. And because I love you too much to give you temporary blessings that collapse under unhealed foundations, I allowed the preparation season to continue. But hear me carefully now. Preparation is reaching completion. The version of you entering this next season is not the same person who first entered the waiting season. You are wiser now, more discerning now, more spiritually awake now, less dependent on external validation now. And although the process wounded you at times, it also strengthened you deeply. As it is written, those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. Isaiah 40:31. Notice that promise carefully. Waiting was not meant to weaken you forever. It was meant to renew you, to rebuild you, to restore hidden strength within you. And now, renewal is beginning to appear. That is why your spirit feels restless lately. Part of you senses movement even while circumstances still appear uncertain. You feel the shift before you fully see the evidence. That feeling is not imaginary. It is the beginning of transition. My beloved child, heaven is moving things into place now. Doors that once refused to open will suddenly begin responding differently. Confusion that clouded your mind will begin lifting. Certain opportunities will appear unexpectedly. Peace will begin returning to areas that once felt emotionally heavy. And relationships built on alignment instead of fear will slowly enter your life. Because your season is changing. The wilderness season cannot continue forever. Even Jesus emerged from the wilderness with clarity, strength, and authority, and so will you. My child, I know there were nights you cried because you thought you had fallen behind in life. You looked at your age, your situation, your unfinished dreams, and fear whispered that time was running out. But hear me carefully now. You are not behind. You are being prepared according to divine timing, not human comparison. The enemy wanted you to become so discouraged during the waiting that you abandoned hope completely, because hopeless people stop preparing for miracles. But my beloved, your breakthrough remained alive, even during the seasons where you almost stopped believing in it. I kept protecting what belongs to your future, even while you struggled emotionally in your present. That is why certain things never fully collapsed, despite the pressure surrounding your life, because my hand remained over you. As it is written, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it. Habakkuk 2:3 appointed time. Not accidental timing, not random timing, appointed timing. Meaning your breakthrough was always connected to a specific season heaven already knew would arrive. And my child, that season is approaching now. You may not fully see everything clearly yet, but spiritually, the atmosphere around your life is shifting. Old cycles are ending, old emotional chains are breaking, old fears are losing authority over your mind, and the version of you built entirely around survival is beginning to disappear. That is why your soul no longer feels comfortable remaining where it once settled. You are outgrowing the waiting season, outgrowing environments that kept you emotionally small, outgrowing relationships connected to fear instead of peace, outgrowing identities built from pain instead of truth. Transformation always feels uncomfortable right before breakthrough arrives, because your spirit senses movement before your eyes can confirm it. My beloved child, stop interpreting silence as abandonment. Some of the greatest movements heaven prepared for your life happened invisibly first. Joseph waited, David waited, Abraham waited. Even those chosen deeply still experienced preparation seasons. And during preparation, humans often mistake silence for rejection. But silence was never rejection. Silence was construction. Construction of the person you needed to become before carrying what you prayed for. Because blessings without maturity often become burdens. But now, maturity is growing inside you. Your healing deepened your wisdom. Your loneliness deepened your discernment. Your heartbreak deepened your compassion. Your waiting deepened your faith. Nothing was wasted. Nothing. And very soon, you will begin understanding why the delay had to happen exactly the way it did. Because some doors were not closed to punish you. They were closed to protect you. Some opportunities disappeared because they would have led you away from your real purpose. Some relationships ended because they could not survive in the season you are entering now. And in the next part, I will reveal the hidden truth behind every delayed answer, every closed door, and every painful detour you survived. Because what looked like rejection was often heaven protecting you from a future your soul was never meant to carry. If this message speaks directly into your spirit tonight, comment, "My season is changing," and stay with me, because the next revelation may completely transform the way you understand every delay you once cried over. My beloved child, there is a truth about your past that you are only now beginning to understand. Some of the doors you cried over had to remain closed. Some of the relationships you begged to keep would have destroyed your peace later. Some of the opportunities you thought you lost were actually dangers disguised as blessings. And some delays that felt unbearable were quietly protecting your future the entire time. As it is written, the Lord is your keeper. Psalm 121:5. Read that carefully within your spirit. Your keeper, not only your comforter, not only your provider, your protector, which means even when you did not understand what was happening, I was still guarding your life from things your emotions could not yet see clearly. My child, humans often mistake protection for rejection, because when something is removed suddenly, when a prayer remains unanswered, when a door closes unexpectedly, pain immediately convinces the heart that heaven has abandoned them. But listen carefully now. Not every closed door was punishment. Some doors were barriers standing between you and unnecessary suffering. I know there were moments where you begged me to preserve things that later would have broken your spirit even more deeply. You could not see it at the time. Because attachment blinds discernment. Emotions often confuse familiarity with destiny. And that is why some endings felt devastating while actually saving your future. My beloved child, had certain people stayed longer, they would have delayed your healing. Had certain opportunities worked out, they would have pulled you further away from your true assignment. Had certain prayers been answered immediately, your soul would have entered places it was not yet emotionally prepared to survive. That is why timing mattered, and now you are beginning to see what you once called rejection differently. Because perspective changes once healing begins. As it is written, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways." Isaiah 55:8. My child, there were things I protected you from that you still know nothing about. Conversations that happened behind your back. Plans that never succeeded. Situations that could have harmed you deeply. People whose intentions were never truly pure. Paths that looked beautiful externally while secretly carrying destruction. And because your understanding was limited at the time, you mourned things heaven was actually rescuing you from. You thought your life was falling apart, but heaven was redirecting it. I know there were seasons where confusion became overwhelming. You kept asking, why isn't anything working? Why does every door keep closing? Why do things fall apart when I try so hard? But my beloved, if every door had opened exactly when you wanted it to, your life would have moved in directions never aligned with your purpose. That is why some delays became necessary, because your emotions desired things your future could not safely sustain. And my love for you is deeper than temporary comfort. I care about where your soul is being led, not merely what feels good in the moment. My child, some people were assignments of distraction, not destiny. They entered your life appearing like answers, while quietly pulling your spirit away from peace. And because loneliness had already wounded you deeply, you ignored red flags your discernment tried warning you about. You accepted inconsistency because you feared abandonment. Accepted emotional confusion because you feared starting over. Accepted less than your value because pain convinced you that losing people would destroy you. But hear me carefully now. Losing alignment would have hurt you far more. That is why separation came. Not because you were unworthy of love, but because your future required healing first. My beloved child, there are blessings you once cried for that would have become burdens had I released them too early. You thought you were ready, but readiness is more than desire. Readiness involves emotional stability, discernment, wisdom, healing, self-worth. And your waiting season was building those things inside you quietly. Because heaven never prepares blessings without also preparing the soul meant to carry them. As it is written, every good and perfect gift is from above. James 1:17. And good gifts do not arrive to destroy you. They arrive aligned with peace. That is why your preparation season mattered so deeply. My child, you were not delayed because I forgot you. You were delayed because your story required alignment. Certain people needed removal. Certain mindsets needed healing. Certain fears needed confronting. Certain wounds needed exposing. Because unhealed pain has a way of following people into every blessing they receive. And I refuse to allow your future to be built upon foundations still poisoned by fear and emotional exhaustion. That is why your healing became part of the process. My beloved, I know there were nights you compared yourself to others and secretly felt left behind. You watched people entering relationships while yours ended. Watched others succeed while your doors remained closed. Watched people celebrate while your spirit quietly carried disappointment. And slowly, comparison poisoned your peace. But comparison only measures visible outcomes. It cannot see hidden preparation. It cannot see what heaven protected you from. It cannot see the emotional healing taking place beneath the surface. You thought others were ahead, but many were entering seasons your soul was not yet designed to survive. And one day, you will thank me for not answering certain prayers prematurely, because now you are becoming someone emotionally capable of sustaining the blessing instead of self-destructing inside it. That changes everything. My beloved child, your delays preserved you, preserved your identity, preserved your peace, preserved your purpose, because not every opportunity aligned with your assignment. Not every relationship aligned with your future. Not every open door carried my hand upon it, and discernment grows strongest through waiting seasons. That is why your spirit has become more sensitive lately. You no longer desire chaotic attachment the same way. You no longer crave constant validation the same way. You no longer feel comfortable in environments that drain your peace, because your soul is changing. Your standards are changing. Your discernment is maturing. And now, the things you once chased desperately no longer hold the same power over you. That itself is evidence of healing. My child, some of the greatest miracles in your life will eventually arrive through the very delays you once hated. Because the delay strengthened your wisdom. The delay strengthened your discernment. The delay strengthened your dependence on me instead of unstable people. Nothing was wasted, nothing, even the tears, even the loneliness, even the silence. Every painful season carried hidden preparation inside it. And now, your perspective is beginning to shift. You are starting to realize that survival itself was part of the miracle. Because there were moments where your emotional pain could have destroyed your future completely. Yet somehow you survived. Somehow your spirit kept searching. Somehow hope remained alive beneath all the exhaustion. That was not accidental. That was my hand sustaining you through every delay. As it is written, many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. Proverbs 19:21. And my purpose for your life still stands, my beloved. Despite every delay, despite every heartbreak, despite every season of confusion, nothing the enemy attempted permanently stopped what heaven already planned for you. But hear me carefully now. There is still one thing your soul must fully understand before the next season begins. The dream you buried, the hope you stopped speaking about, the future you quietly gave up on, it is not dead. And in the next part, I will reveal why the dream you thought was over has actually been waiting beneath the surface this entire time, preparing to rise again differently than before. If this message speaks directly into your spirit tonight, comment, God was protecting me, and stay with me, because what comes next may completely change the way you see every broken dream you thought was lost forever. My beloved child, after everything you have heard tonight, there is one final truth I need you to carry deep within your spirit. You were never alone, not in the beginning, not in the middle of the battle, not during the nights where your tears soaked your pillow in silence, not during the moments where your faith became weak, not during the seasons where life felt unbearably heavy. I was there through all of it, and I am still here now. As it is written, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. My child, there were many times you believed your story was falling apart. You thought the heartbreak destroyed you. You thought the waiting delayed you forever. You thought the loneliness meant you had been forgotten. But tonight, you finally understand something differently. Every painful season carried hidden purpose. Every battle shaped something within you. Every delay protected something you could not yet see. Even now, while listening to these words, pieces of your spirit are reconnecting in ways you cannot fully explain. Because this message was never random. This moment was never random. You kept asking heaven for a sign, a confirmation, a reason to keep believing. And my beloved child, this message became the answer you were praying for. Not because these are merely words on a screen, but because your spirit recognized something eternal moving through them. That quiet feeling in your chest, that deep emotion rising within you, that sense that somehow these words understood hidden parts of your life nobody else fully sees. That was not coincidence. That was your spirit recognizing my presence. My child, I know there are still questions you carry, still uncertainties, still moments where fear tries whispering about the future. But you are no longer the same person who first began listening tonight. Something shifted inside you, maybe quietly, maybe gently, but truly. Because once light enters darkness, darkness can never remain exactly the same again. And my beloved, light has already entered your spirit. You may not feel fully healed yet. You may still have difficult days ahead. You may still face moments where old wounds try resurfacing. But healing has already started. The chains are already weakening. The transformation is already unfolding quietly, powerfully, irreversibly. My child, one day you will look back at this season with completely different eyes. The season you once called destruction, you will eventually call preparation. The season you once called abandonment, you will eventually call protection. The season you once called suffering, you will eventually realize became the birthplace of your transformation. Because pain did not get the final word over your life. I did, and my words over you have always been greater than fear, greater than rejection, greater than shame, greater than your past. My beloved child, there are beautiful moments still waiting ahead of you. Moments where peace suddenly feels natural again. Moments where your heart laughs without forcing it. Moments where you wake up and no longer feel emotionally trapped inside survival mode. Moments where you realize you finally stopped blaming yourself for everything that hurt you. Moments where healthy love enters your life without constant confusion attached to it. Moments where your spirit finally feels safe again. And when those moments arrive, you will understand why I never allowed you to give up completely. Because your future was always worth fighting for. My child, do not return to the version of yourself that believed hopelessness was normal. Do not rebuild connections that destroy your peace. Do not reopen doors I closed for your protection. And most importantly, do not forget how far you have already come. You survived battles people never even knew you were fighting. You carried pain silently while still trying to love others. You kept moving forward while secretly exhausted inside. And somehow, despite everything, you are still here, still listening, still hoping, still searching for peace. That alone is proof that I have been sustaining you all along. My beloved, there is no shame in your healing journey, no shame in your tears, no shame in your struggles, no shame in the fact that some days were harder than others. Because transformation is not perfection. Transformation is the process of slowly becoming free, and freedom is already unfolding within you now. Listen carefully one last time tonight. You are not forgotten. You are not too damaged. You are not behind in life. You are not disqualified from love. You are not abandoned by heaven. You are not fighting this battle alone. I have been walking beside you through every moment, even when you could not feel me. Even when your faith became tired, even when darkness tried convincing you otherwise, I never left. Not once. My child, there are still doors waiting to open, still blessings waiting to arrive, still prayers waiting to be answered in ways greater than you imagined. But before all of that, I needed your spirit to awaken first. I needed you to remember who you truly are beneath the wounds. Not a victim of your past, not a prisoner of fear, not someone destined to repeat endless pain, but someone chosen for restoration, chosen for healing, chosen for purpose, chosen for peace. And now, your soul is finally beginning to believe that again. My beloved child, when this video ends, do not return immediately to fear. Do not let the noise of the world steal what your spirit felt here tonight. Protect your peace, protect your healing, Protect the quiet transformation already happening inside you. Stay close to me. Speak with me often. Bring me your fears instead of hiding them. Bring me your questions instead of carrying them alone. Because I am not distant from your life. I am deeply present within it, closer than your next breath, closer than your next thought, closer than the fear trying to discourage you. And as you continue walking forward with me, you will begin seeing signs that your season is truly changing. The heaviness will lift, the confusion will clear, the fear will loosen its grip, and peace, real peace, will slowly become your new normal. So tonight, my beloved child, rest your weary soul. You no longer have to carry tomorrow alone. You no longer have to survive every battle by yourself. You no longer have to live trapped inside the old version of your life, because your darkest season is ending. And I am walking with you into the future I prepared long before you were afraid. If this message touched your spirit, type Amen in the comments. Share this message with someone who needs hope tonight. And subscribe so you remain connected to these words of healing, peace, and restoration. My beloved child, this is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of your transformation. My beloved child, the breakthrough you have been praying for will not begin the way you expected. You imagined sudden changes, immediate answers, dramatic miracles everyone around you could clearly see. But heaven often begins transformation quietly, deep within the soul before circumstances visibly shift. As it is written, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalm 46:10, stillness. That is where your breakthrough truly begins. Not in chaos, not in emotional desperation, not in fear-driven striving, but in peace. And that truth surprises many people. Because humans often believe breakthrough only arrives when external problems disappear. But my beloved, real breakthrough begins the moment fear no longer controls your spirit. That is why something strange has been happening inside you lately. The storm around your life may not have completely disappeared yet, but part of your soul feels calmer than before. Not perfectly healed, not entirely free from questions, but calmer, more aware, more grounded. And even though you still carry uncertainty, there are moments now where unexpected peace quietly enters your spirit without explanation. That peace is not random. It is the beginning of breakthrough, because peace is often heaven's first sign that transformation has already started internally. My child, there was a time where every problem immediately consumed your thoughts. Every delay felt devastating. Every rejection shattered your confidence. Every uncertainty created panic within your spirit. But now, something inside you is changing. You are no longer reacting with the same level of fear. You are beginning to pause, to breathe, to discern, to trust more deeply than before. That shift matters more than you realize, because external blessings cannot sustain someone internally controlled by fear. That is why I first had to restore your soul before changing your circumstances completely. As it is written, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds." Philippians 4:7. Notice carefully, my beloved, peace that surpasses understanding. Meaning peace arrives before situations fully make sense, before every answer appears, before every prayer manifests visibly, before every problem disappears. That is the peace I am placing inside your spirit now. A peace the world cannot fully explain. A calmness beginning to rise inside you despite uncertainty. And although the old version of you would have collapsed emotionally under this pressure, the healed version of you is learning how to remain steady. My beloved child, breakthrough is already unfolding within you. You simply expected it to look different. You thought healing would feel loud, instant, overwhelming. But true healing often arrives gently, quietly, layer by layer, until one day you suddenly realize the thing that once controlled your emotions no longer has power over you. The memory that once destroyed your peace no longer consumes your thoughts. The fear that once ruled your decisions no longer feels as strong. That is breakthrough, and it is already happening. My child, heaven has been rebuilding your inner world first, because your future requires stability, not merely temporary emotion. The version of you entering the next season cannot be emotionally fragile in the same ways anymore. That is why your spirit had to mature through waiting, through loneliness, through disappointment, through silence, not to punish you, but to strengthen you. Because where I am leading you, emotional peace will become one of your greatest forms of protection. The enemy once controlled your life through emotional instability, fear, anxiety, overthinking, attachment, self-doubt. But now, those chains are weakening, and heaven is teaching your soul how to rest again. As it is written, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. My beloved child, you have been weary for a very long time, not only physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. There were seasons where your soul carried so much heaviness that even simple tasks felt exhausting. You smiled outwardly while silently fighting battles nobody fully understood. And eventually, survival became your normal state. But you were never created merely to survive. You were created to live in peace. That is why this breakthrough begins internally first. Because once peace enters your spirit, fear loses its authority. And once fear loses authority, your decisions change, your standards change, your relationships change, your future changes. Everything changes. My beloved, some miracles arrive as opportunities. Others arrive as healing. And healing is the miracle beginning within you now. You are starting to trust yourself again, starting to recognize your value again, starting to feel emotionally safer within your own spirit again. And although you still carry scars, those scars no longer define your identity completely. That is growth, that is restoration, that is heaven quietly rebuilding your soul. My child, the world often celebrates visible success while ignoring inner healing. But inner healing changes lives more deeply than external achievement ever could. Because healed people stop abandoning themselves for temporary approval. Healed people stop settling for emotional chaos. Healed people stop rebuilding relationships that destroy their peace. And healed people begin recognizing that their worth was never dependent on who stayed or who left. You are becoming that healed person now, slowly, patiently, beautifully. As it is written, He restores my soul. Psalms 23:3, not temporarily comforts, restores, meaning what exhaustion tried to destroy within you is being rebuilt. Your hope, your identity, your emotional strength, your trust, your capacity to love without losing yourself. Everything is being restored differently now, stronger now, wiser now, more aligned now. My beloved child, do not underestimate quiet transformation. The most powerful changes often happen invisibly at first. Roots grow silently beneath the soil before fruit appears above it. And your roots have been strengthening during every painful season you survived. That is why you are no longer the same person who first entered this journey. The fearful version of you is fading. The desperate version of you is fading. The hopeless version of you is fading. And in its place, peace is growing. Not perfect peace yet, but real peace, steady peace. The kind that no longer depends entirely on external validation. The kind that remains even while life is still unfolding. And very soon, the peace growing inside you will begin creating visible changes around you too. Because healed spirits naturally attract healthier environments, healthier relationships, healthier decisions, healthier futures. Everything begins changing once the soul becomes free. My beloved, the breakthrough you prayed for has already started. Not loudly, quietly, deep within your spirit first. And soon, the outer evidence will begin matching the inner transformation heaven already started inside you. But before the final revelation comes, there is one truth you still need to fully understand. This message itself was never random. Your arrival here tonight was not coincidence. And in the next part, I will reveal why heaven guided you to these words at this exact moment in your life, and why this message may actually be your confirmation that a completely new season has already begun. If this message is touching your soul tonight, comment, "Peace is entering my life," and stay with me, because the final revelation may completely change the way you understand this entire journey forever. My beloved child, by now part of your spirit already understands something important. You were not brought here accidentally. Out of millions of voices, millions of distractions, millions of moments you could have chosen differently, you arrived here at this exact time, in this exact season of your life. And deep inside your soul, something recognized these words before your mind fully understood them. That feeling was not random, because this message was never merely information. It was confirmation. As it is written, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" Isaiah 43:19. My child, heaven often speaks through moments people dismiss too quickly. A sentence that suddenly touches the deepest part of the soul. A message that describes hidden pain nobody else knew. A feeling of peace appearing without explanation. A sudden emotional awakening that cannot easily be ignored. Those moments are not coincidence, they are invitations. Invitations to awaken. Invitations to trust again. Invitations to recognize that your life is shifting, even before visible proof fully arrives. My beloved, you almost scrolled away from this message. You almost ignored the moment heaven was trying to reach your spirit. And that alone should reveal something important to you. Your soul was searching for reassurance long before your mind admitted it. Because beneath all the exhaustion, beneath all the disappointment, beneath all the fear and emotional heaviness, part of you still hoped, still believed, still longed for peace. And that quiet longing led you here tonight. My child, confirmation does not always arrive through dramatic miracles. Sometimes confirmation arrives through clarity, through inner peace, through a sudden knowing deep inside your spirit. And while listening to these words, you felt something shift, not because of emotion alone, but because truth resonates differently within wounded souls that are finally beginning to heal. You recognized your story inside these words. The loneliness, the battles, the waiting, the heartbreak, the emotional exhaustion, the hidden fear of never becoming who you were meant to be. And suddenly, you realized heaven had seen all of it. Not one tear missed, not one silent breakdown forgotten, not one prayer ignored. My beloved child, there is a reason this message feels deeply personal to you. Because your spirit recognizes when heaven is speaking directly into the areas you tried hiding from the world. As it is written, "Call to me and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know." Jeremiah 33:3. For a long time you searched for answers everywhere else, in people, in distractions, in temporary comforts, in overthinking, in trying to control outcomes. But none of those things brought lasting peace, because your soul was never searching merely for answers. It was searching for reassurance. Reassurance that your pain carried meaning, that your life still carried purpose, that your future had not been destroyed by your past. And tonight, heaven is answering that cry. My child, the enemy worked hard to convince you this season would never change, that your wounds would define you forever, that your mistakes permanently disqualified you, that your future would always remain smaller than your dreams. But hear me carefully now. The enemy only attacks what threatens darkness. and your awakening threatens darkness deeply, because once a wounded soul finally remembers their worth, fear begins losing its power. That is exactly what is happening inside you now. You are remembering that your sensitivity was never weakness, remembering that your survival carried purpose, remembering that your story did not end in the seasons that almost broke you, remembering that heaven never abandoned you even during your darkest nights. And once that truth fully settles into your spirit, everything changes. My beloved child, this message is confirmation that the old season is ending. The season of constant emotional chaos, the season of endless confusion, the season of begging for validation from people who never truly saw your worth, the season of carrying silent pain without understanding why. That season is closing. And although the next chapter will still require growth, it will not carry the same heaviness you survived before, because you are no longer the same person. Healing changed you, pain refined you, waiting strengthened you, silence deepened your discernment, and now your spirit is finally ready to receive peace differently than before. As it is written, the former things have passed away. Revelation 21:4. Some things truly are ending now, my child. Old fears, old emotional chains, old identities built entirely around survival, old wounds controlling your decisions. You are stepping into a softer season, a wiser season, a more aligned season, not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because your soul is no longer completely ruled by fear, and that changes everything. My beloved, you spent too long believing you had to carry every burden alone. Too long believing strength meant suppressing your emotions. Too long believing your worth depended on human acceptance. But heaven never measured you according to those standards. I always saw your heart, always saw your sincerity, always saw the kindness you continued offering even after being wounded repeatedly. And one day soon, you will understand why your compassion survived despite everything that tried to harden you. Because your softness was never weakness. It was evidence that darkness failed to turn you into what hurt you. That is one of the greatest victories of all. My child, this message found you because your spirit was ready to hear it now. 5 years ago, you may not have understood it the same way. Even 1 year ago, your wounds may have blocked certain truths from reaching your heart completely. But now, your soul is more open, more aware, more ready. And that readiness is part of the miracle itself. Because healing begins the moment the soul stops resisting truth. And tonight, truth is entering places inside you that fear occupied for far too long. You are not forgotten, not abandoned, not disqualified, not behind, not too damaged. You are being restored, slowly, patiently, deeply. And this message itself is proof that heaven has already started drawing you toward the next season of your life. My beloved child, do not ignore what your spirit is feeling right now. That peace, that emotional release, that quiet sense that something inside you is awakening again. Those are signs, confirmation signs, evidence that the shift already started. And very soon, the external changes around your life will begin matching the internal healing already happening within your soul. But before this journey ends, there is one final truth heaven needs you to fully understand. Your new season did not begin tomorrow. It already began the moment your soul started awakening again. And in the final part, I will reveal why your best days may already be closer than you ever imagined. If this message speaks directly into your spirit tonight, comment, "This message was for me," and stay until the final revelation, because what comes next may completely transform the way you see your future forever. My beloved child, after everything you have survived, after every battle, every delay, every hidden tear, every lonely night, there is one final truth heaven needs you to understand tonight. Your new season has already begun, not tomorrow. not someday far away, not after every problem disappears. It began the moment your soul started awakening again. As it is written, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Psalm 35. My child, for a long time you believed you were waiting for life to finally begin, waiting for healing, waiting for peace, waiting for the breakthrough, waiting for clarity. But what you did not realize was this: the transformation already started during the very season you thought was destroying you. While you were crying, you were changing. While you were waiting, you were growing. While you were breaking, heaven was rebuilding you quietly from the inside out. Nothing was wasted, not the heartbreak, not the loneliness, not the confusion, not even the nights where you questioned whether you could continue. Every painful moment became part of the process, shaping the stronger, wiser, healed version of you now emerging. My beloved child, look at how far you have already come. You survived things you once thought would completely destroy you. You carried burdens silently while still finding the strength to keep moving forward. You endured emotional battles nobody fully understood. And despite everything, you are still here, still breathing, still searching for peace, still capable of love, still capable of hope. That is not weakness. That is proof of my hand upon your life. As it is written, the Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. Zephaniah 3:17. You were never fighting alone. Even during the seasons where heaven felt silent, I remained beside you, protecting you from things you could not see, holding together parts of your spirit that felt close to breaking, guiding you even when confusion surrounded your path. And now, the storm that once defined your life is beginning to lose its power over your soul. My child, your healing may not be complete yet, but it has begun, and that matters deeply. Because the moment healing begins, fear no longer controls your future the same way. You are no longer the person who entered this journey. The hopeless version of you is fading. The fearful version of you is fading. The version constantly begging for acceptance from people who could not recognize your value is fading. And in its place, peace is growing. Discernment is growing. Confidence is growing. Spiritual clarity is growing. You are becoming someone new, not fake, not hardened, not emotionally numb, but healed. And healed people move differently through life. They stop abandoning themselves to keep others comfortable. They stop chasing chaos and calling it love. They stop measuring their worth through rejection. They stop building identities around pain. And my beloved child, that transformation is already happening inside you now. As it is written, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has gone, the new is here. 2 Corinthians 5:17. The old season is passing away. The season where fear ruled your decisions. The season where emotional exhaustion became normal. The season where you secretly believed your future was over. That chapter is ending. And yes, there will still be moments of growth ahead. Moments where healing continues unfolding layer by layer. But you will never again be the same person who once believed darkness had permanently won. Because now you know something powerful. You survived. And survival became the evidence that heaven never abandoned your story. My beloved, your future still carries purpose. There are still people your life will impact. Still moments of joy waiting ahead. Still prayers waiting to unfold. Still doors waiting to open. Still peace waiting to settle fully into your spirit. Do not let temporary uncertainty convince you otherwise. The enemy wanted you to believe the pain was permanent. But pain was only a season, not your identity, not your destiny. A season, and seasons change. That is what heaven has been trying to show you this entire time. My child, one day you will look back at this version of yourself with compassion. You will remember the nights you cried quietly, the battles nobody knew you were fighting, the moments you almost gave up completely. and you will realize something extraordinary. The very season that nearly broke you became the season that awakened you. Because suffering forced you to seek deeper truth. Loneliness forced you to rediscover your identity. Waiting forced you to develop trust. And heartbreak forced you to stop settling for things that damaged your peace. Everything changed you. Everything refined you. Everything prepared you. Nothing was meaningless. As it is written, and after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will himself restore you and make you strong. 1 Peter 5:10, restore you, not merely comfort you temporarily. Restore you completely. That restoration has already begun, my beloved. Even now, while listening to these final words, part of your spirit feels lighter than before, softer than before, more hopeful than before. That feeling is real, because heaven is already breathing new life into the areas fear once controlled. And very soon, you will begin seeing outward evidence of the internal transformation already happening within you. Unexpected peace, new opportunities, aligned relationships, clearer direction, renewed purpose. Everything begins changing once the soul becomes free. My beloved child, stop looking at yourself through the eyes of your past pain. Your story is not defined by who left, not defined by what failed, not defined by how long you waited. Your story is defined by the fact that despite everything, you kept going. And heaven honors that perseverance. So tonight, release the old season completely. Release the fear. Release the hopelessness. Release the belief that your best days are behind you. Because they are not behind you. They are approaching, slowly, quietly, powerfully. And this message was heaven's reminder that you are not walking into that future alone. I am with you. I was with you in the darkness. I was with you in the waiting. I was with you in the breaking. And I will remain with you in the restoration too. My beloved child, your life is not ending. It is beginning again. So breathe deeply tonight. Rest your weary soul. And trust that what heaven has prepared for you will arrive at the perfect time, because your new season has already begun, and this time, peace will lead you there. If this message touched your heart tonight, comment, Amen, my new season has begun, and share this message with someone who needs hope tonight. Subscribe and stay connected to these messages from God, because your journey of healing, peace, and restoration is only beginning. You are not alone anymore, my child, and your best days have already begun.